Good morning, everybody. It's been a long time since I posted an instructional video, but I'm not going to be here in school today, so I thought I'd give you guys instructions on what you're doing in class today. All right, let me go to sharing my screen here. Okay, so you will have this document, but you will also have notes on the board. Okay, so what you're going to be doing is you're going to be annotating your StudySync article, The Secret to Raising Smart Kids, for a second time. So if you remember our StudySync books, the article starts on page 79, okay? Page 79, The Secret to Raising Smart Kids. Now, last time we did catch annotation. This time we're annotating for something entirely different. So you're going to read the article again, a second read, but this time you're going to be trying to figure out what types of support does the author give to support her thesis. Okay, so let's go over these types of support. Okay, the first one is anecdotal evidence. Anecdotal evidence is when she tells a little story about something, like maybe there's a little story about a group of kids who performed a certain way in one environment, they performed a certain way in another environment. There aren't any numbers. It wasn't necessarily a study. It's an observation. It's like a little story. That's called anecdotal evidence. The little story is called an anecdote. Okay, now we get into another one, and we call this primary research. All right, now primary research is when the author herself conducts a study. Now, she could be partnered with other people in the study, but if she's one of the members of the study, then it's their firsthand research. So it's more than just a story. They set up a research protocol, and then they research how different kids performed, whatever. So it's called primary research. Now, the next one is similar to that, but that would be called secondary research. Now, secondary research is when she is reviewing the work of somebody else. So she is not an author or not a member of the study, but she's telling us about the work of other researchers. That's called secondary research. So she's doing research on what they've done, okay? So that's the distinction. Primary research is she was involved in it. Secondary research is she's reviewing the work of somebody else. Okay, the next type of evidence is called application. So she gives her principles and she says, okay, well, here's what happens in schools, but we think this applies to family life. We think it applies to relationships. We think it also applies to the work world. Something like that. It's where they're taking their findings and applying it into a different scenario. All right, application. Okay, then finally, this last one we're going to talk about. This one is called statistical evidence. All right, this is going to be numbers based. Anything with, 4 out of 5 or percentages or something like that. Anything involving numbers will be statistical evidence. Okay, now, what we're going to do, or what I've done for you, is I've broken the paragraphs up into chunks. So let's have a look at that. Okay, so if you look at paragraph chunks, I mean, the first part of the article is her setting up her argument, her giving her thesis, whatever. And then starting in paragraph 8, she starts providing supporting evidence. Okay, so if you were to look on your books, like on page 81, for example, that would be the paragraph 8 and 9 chunk. So you look at those two paragraphs together and you choose from the list here what evidence you think she's using in those two paragraphs. Okay, and so I'll give you the first one. If you look at paragraph 8 and 9, all right, she's talking about the study with the 60 fifth graders. She doesn't tell how it was set up. She doesn't give us any numbers or anything like that. So it's really more of like a story of what happened. So that one would be anecdotal evidence. Okay, and then if you go to the next page, page 82, we'll have paragraphs 12 through 14. And she uses another type of evidence for that. All right, so the way I want you to write it is you just take the chunks and you draw one of these kind of lines, you know, the half circle, the little pointy thing, and the other circle. You know, like on the board behind you do one of these things. Okay, that will represent the paragraphs. And then you just write what kind of evidence is there. If you have a different color to highlight, I would use a different color. That way it stands out from the other annotation that you did. All right, so you look at all these chunks, paragraphs 8 and 9, 12 through 14, 15 and 16, 17 all by itself, 18 and 19, 21 and 22, 25 by itself, 26 by itself. And you're trying to figure out what type of evidence she used in each chunk. All right, everybody. I hope you do real well on this. All right. See you next time.